WWE Select is coming out this week. Is the WWE hype over?
I'm gonna probably say yes to that question. We've already seen Prism drop significantly more than half of what it was coming out at, and obviously now these new products, these when they're hitting the sites that resell these products, like they're starting off at a lot lower, more in line with the prices we were seeing with the Tops when Tops had the license and were putting out their products. It's still higher than those Tops products, but definitely nowhere near the prices of Prism when it first came out.
Yeah, because we were watching Prism boxes WWE go to like $1,200-$1,300 a hobby box. I mean, approaching football, basketball numbers.
Insanity.
And now I think you can get a box for like $350 to $400. So
it's
that's
gone way down.
Significant drop. You think it has something to do that these are kind of? This is a debate we could have. This is an entertainment product, not a sports product.
Yeah, I think, man, just the hype going into it, I guess. I mean, you guys caught it pretty much. You and Dan saying that when this product was when Prism WWE was first coming out, it was like, what makes this product $1,000 more than the previous Topps Chrome product, which came out like 6 months earlier, right? It's not that the market had grown so much bigger for wrestling. The market is fairly big, I would say, still, but it's not like the market had grown so much for the sports cards of wrestling cards that it justified the $1,000 price point. So,
yeah, I mean, it's tough to say. I mean, because it's like you can't really right now with football, which we're going to get into a segment later, is that you can say, oh, Zach Wilson's going to have a great year.
Yeah.
Right? So you're like, I'm going to buy Zach Wilson. But what are you going to be like, The Edge or The Rock or Stone Cold? Like, what are they going to do to make their card more worth it? You know what I mean? Like, then there's obviously icons and stuff like that could change the scope of it. But, complete opposite with like F1. F1, everybody thought that was just nobody's going to want it because nobody wanted NASCAR, and F1 went up. So it's like, Cody, do you think that people are going to be a little hesitant on culture cards going forward? Do you think this has left a bad taste in people's mouth, or do you think it just doesn't matter?
I don't know. I don't think it totally matters. I think there's a couple factors that were at play. One, I think maybe Panini would have been better off doing, like, what if I feel like the narrative will be different if, like, what if Select was the first WWE product coming out, and then it's Prism, because Prism obviously holds that weight, carries that weight. That name carries a lot of weight in the hobby. And I think that if they had maybe timed it differently with the release schedule, obviously they wanted to make a splash, so Prism coming out first, I get it, but like maybe if they had gone in a different route, maybe that would have changed things. I think there's also the fact that right after Prism came out, the Topps and WWE news comes out.
Right before Prism came out.
And but also, I think more importantly, too, WrestleMania was happening.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's maybe they were hoping like, oh, SummerSlam just happened, so there is still some momentum here with WWE. So maybe Select does a little. I think Select will do better than like some previous WWE Panini products. It's only been Revolution and Prism so far, right?
Yep. And I actually really love
I think Revolution.
I'm biased for Revolution, whatever, but. And that's a super affordable product if you want to talk about affordable wrestling product. Also, I think there's a lot of what was going on where people were saying this is the first Prism wrestling, right? There's a lot of that notion that if it's the first of a recognized brand like Prism, that it's gonna carry a lot of weight throughout its life cycle, right? People were assuming like with Topps Chrome F1 being the first year, how much that jumped up. With UFC Prism the year before, the first year of UFC Prism, how much that had jumped up. So people were just assuming the same thing was going to happen to WWE, and for a short moment of time, it happened. But now we're seeing like the big drop in that price point.
But I mean, to give Select some credit, some WWE Select, you're going to have the first zebras, you're going to have the first tie dyes, you're going to have a lot of firsts within that too, right? So. We'll see. Maybe this catches us by surprise. I don't think it goes up to $1,100 a box. No. But maybe it does go up compared to because it
has room to go up as opposed to Prism where it only had room to go down.
Right. And I think Revolution is a great basketball product, but I don't think I think the people like the WWE fans love the color, love the autographs, love the relics and stuff like that, which what Select has.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But I think it was a perfect timing for Prism, like you guys said, with Topps getting the license back, maybe Panini's only release, and then there was people that I didn't even know were wrestling fans going to WrestleMania that year. So it was like a big kind of like push, and I think that kind of caused a lot of guys in the hobby to buy WWE that would normally buy Prism basketball, Prism football, whatever. They're like, I'm gonna buy WWE Prism because this is pretty cool.
And I think that when you're to kind of answer your question from earlier about like what about pop culture cards in general is this? I feel like WWE is in that weird space of like sports and entertainment combined. So I think compared to like what we've seen, this push of like pop culture cards, it's the new thing. Which there's been pop culture cards forever, but I think it occupies this space where like it won't go down as much as I think some other pop culture cards might, just because it does still have a lot of sports fans who are interested in it. But I think what you're saying is, just things are kind of evening out. It's still like, if you want to be, wear your rose-colored goggles right now, compared to what it was 2-3 years ago, it's still way above what it was a couple years ago. And I think that's just in general, it's about like, you got to look at the long view, that things were crazy for a month and it was unsustainable, but in the long run, wrestling, the fact that we're having a conversation, I think, about wrestling cards and about, is it still a thing? Is it still viable? I think that is that something you would have imagined even doing 2 years ago? That's a
start. I mean, and then you've seen at the National Topps with Stranger Things cards coming out.
Yeah.
Do we think Stranger Things cards are going to do well? I mean, what would make? I mean, I didn't get a pack. I know they were having that vending machine, which was amazing, and they have a really cool set. I mean, they spent a lot of money on Zero Cool did on which is a brand of Topps to get this name out there for Stranger Things. Do you think the kid? I mean, I would say predominant. I mean, I guess every Stranger Thing is watched by a lot of people, but I know a lot of teenagers are watching.
It's definitely a teenage brand. I like it a lot. But
are they going to buy trading cards of Stranger Things? And what would be the chase, right? I mean, autographs of these guys, I guess. Maybe
that's the
relics
appeal
from the show.
That's the appeal, is like, if autographs of, I mean, Millie Bobby Brown's autographs in a lot of the Leaf Pop Century stuff, but a lot of these other guys who are becoming huge stars, like, they're not really in anything. So I mean, heck, I like
Finhard.
Yeah,
he's a big star with the teenage girls.
And you know what? It's gonna appeal to like the 80s kids and 90s kids. Like, I'll take a Winona Ryder auto.
And I'll say like Zero Cool, they're doing the Stranger season 4, but Topps has already put out Stranger Thing cards before, and there's a decent market for it, right? In terms of pop culture stuff, I still see it. There's a lot of room for growth there. And there's a lot of people pushing pop culture right now.
There
is
a lot. And I feel like it's an underground band because we've seen like Cryptozoic do it too with Walking Dead, and Game of Thrones and stuff. And like I said, it's like an underground band. There's a segment of people that are collecting it, but not mainstream enough where you can read it on the forums or people that are collecting it much. So
unless it's like Star Wars right now, that's really the only one. I think I've talked about it on some other podcasts. Like, it's the only one that's like got a sort of viable year-to-year market like sports does.
That's another good question that we don't have on this slide that just came into my mind. The Star Wars Sapphire.
Crazy.
Is that overhyped? I mean, you got like Staley was in the shop and he opened a box and we were trying to figure out what's worth something. And I think there was just like the numbered the Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker cards that are numbered to whatever, $5,000-$6,000, no autograph, nothing.
I think it's the appeal of like it is the original 19. It's a
sapphire, a reprint of the originals.
Yeah, it's a sapphire version of one of the most iconic non-sports card sets in history, which is in itself like that's definitely something. And I think it would do well with like a Series 2, which also has a lot of iconic cards. If they do the same thing but with Series 2 of Star Wars, I think it would also do really, really well. But again, it's because there is a nostalgia thing. It's already viable. Like, that is, even if you're not a Star Wars collector, that 77, that Series 1 Star Wars set is as iconic as any sports card set. So,
but if you look at see, this is the thing that I'm kind of realizing. If you look at the demographic of that, it's the demographic closer to the vintage sports card guys, right? You're looking at guys. When did Star Wars come out? Early 80s?
1977.
1977. So now those guys that were kids are now 50, 60. They can sit back and open and afford this stuff, right? Where you have maybe the Stranger Things crowd. they may be into it 30 years from now, right? So maybe it's something you can collect and sit on, and then maybe they're worth more down the line. But like, I feel like the people that are going to create more hype is like the older generations, right? I mean, when it comes to pop culture.
It's obvious that Zero Cool, with that specifically that brand and Topps and Fanatics, it's obviously that they're trying to really expand this market.
Yeah.
With Stranger Things and Jackass and Gary V, they're trying to make non-sports cards almost a more normalized thing, and I think they'll be able to do it within the next few years. So to your question, is what's the ultimate, like how far can these Stranger Things cards go? I guess we gotta wait to see. I think right now, I think they're really cool because I enjoy the show. But like you're right, like how many other people are gonna be into like searching for cards for Stranger Things? Although when you walk into Target, you see Stranger Things memorabilia, everything like toys, figurines, keychains, shirts, hats, wallets. You know what I'm saying? If Zero Cool Fanatics can get those cards in a Target or something, I would imagine people would probably buy them.
What do you guys think? And I know we're kind of going a little bit off topic here. We're going to jump right back into the sports cards here in a minute. But when you think of non-sports cards, like in your head, what are the main cards that kind of come right to your mind?
Star Wars.
Yeah, Star Wars is probably number one. I mean, wrestling kind of fits in that mold, but again,
Wrestling.
it is that
Like a
in
single
between.
card, like one card that you would like think of.
Oh, Garbage Pail too.
Yeah.
Garbage Pail Kids for sure. The Atom Bomb, the that first series of Star Wars, Mars Attacks. Think of that one as well, which is kind of now really going way back at this point.
Yep. I don't know why I think of the Jay-Z card that was inserted into the basketball set back in the early, the late 2000s. I think it was 2006 or something, where they really, I think it was right when Jay-Z took part ownership of the Nets, and then they made his rookie card. And then, believe it or not, that Kim Kardashian auto that was in Upper Deck, I think there's only 40 copies. That's insane, like the price on that.
Mm-hmm.
And rest in peace to Pete Davidson on that one. But, you know.
Don't feed into Kanye's toxicity.
I read today that he's dealing with trauma.
He'll be fine.
I'm like, he's going through trauma. They did it for like 7-8 months.
He'll be fine. He'll be fine.
I think of for me also, besides Star Wars and wrestling, I think of Marvel cards actually.
Yeah.
Because that was a big part of my childhood too. Not only was I into opening up, random packs of football cards, I loved opening up those Marvel cards.
Did you see what I got?
No.
91, the original Marvel. I bought it.
91, the box.
The sealed box.
Wow.
The 91s.
I'm gonna have to buy that off you.
It actually wasn't as expensive as you would think. I think it was like $800.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, they were like $30 boxes.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, so that's what I think of when in terms of non-sports. Like those Marvel fleers were amazing to me as a kid.